You gotta fix that intro, Tim.
Good after evening and welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table. We are not your grandpa's ham radio. Strap
Mm-mm.
in, folks. We're renting you the seat, but you only need the edge.
The
Well,
edge. Don't,
Vince,
don't.
I had been practicing that in the last couple of weeks. Obviously Dayton was going on, and our
Yeah.
our schedules were crazy. Frank jumped in and did it, and then
Mm-hmm.
last week I'm ready. I've got the cue card. I've got them up here on my computer.
Yep.
I've got the words. I'm ready to go, and he
I,
doesn't even give me an opportunity to mess it up. I'm like, at least Vince
No,
Foster's
He
as a
stole your
as a
no,
thunder.
no, no. So that was the first week I did that. Last week we just blazed right over it. You didn't even bother for like the
no,
first 5 minutes.
was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The first week I did the intro. So 3 weeks ago I did the intro. Last week was the FTX topic, and we just blazed
Oh,
right over that.
you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to misline you there. But hey, everybody, welcome to the Kids Table. We are in here tonight. We have a special guest, Jason. I keep wanting to say KE5, but VE5 KEV. And Kevin, if you're familiar,
RREV. Romeo
oh,
Echo Victor.
Close enough.
okay, good enough.
Tim,
Just
Tim. At least you didn't mistake a Canadian for an Australian, like someone in a certain Discord did today with the Faraday.
Hmm?
I'm not going to name
Ah.
names, but somebody called Ben VE Victor Echo 6 Sierra Foxtrot. That's right. VK.
Well,
yep.
Why
It's
bother
it's
about
been
details?
it's been
Details
known
don't matter.
it's been known to happen. Hey,
Yeah.
Jason, welcome aboard, man. Even
Yes.
if we can't get your call sign right,
nope.
how are things in Eastern Canada? I say
Yeah,
as a joke because Jason, of course, is in the West, but he's east of me.
we're basically neighbors. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty
Don't
well.
feel bad about the call sign mix up. The our guys here still don't know my name when I call into the net, and I even call the net and they get my name wrong. So it's totally fine. I'm used to that. I'm used to abject neglect.
Abject
Wow,
neglect.
That's
you
a
are
good
going
way
to
to
fit
put
in
it.
great around here. I mean, normally we have Frank to objectively neglect, but wow, this is awesome. I like this.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
um, if you're not familiar with Jason, because now Kevin is stuck in my head for some reason, I don't know why, and I do apologize if I do call you Kevin tonight. But Jason is somebody that I've been watching over probably the last year and a half on Twix. And as I was saying to him earlier, I think his wife has probably yelled at him and thrown something at him because he has used every one of her Tupperware dishes to make some form of an antenna or some kind of a case to
Or a ballon.
put a coil in or a toroid or something like that as he's working on things. And I don't know. Well, they're probably a dollar store. I think I got some of those around here too, by the way. To do that, but he's constantly doing projects on her, and I thought, he'd be a great guy to get in here and talk about, because you kind of embody the stuff that we want to talk about here on the Kids Table, and that's just getting out there, doing it, documenting it, teaching people, and hopefully having some fun along the way. And so welcome to the Kids Table.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, that's kind of what drew me to the whole amateur radio community, is that spirit of sharing stuff and helping guys out. And yeah, it's been really good.
Awesome. So how long have you been a ham?
Only just a couple of years. I think 2023. I think I got licensed. So yeah, I guess it's just over 2 years now. So, but yeah, I got into ham radio kind of I guess you say by accident. I had a good friend of mine who's a fellow ham here now too, and he was really excited about it. And he kept promoting it and said, "Oh, we should get involved with this and do this." And so I kind of got into it from more of the preparedness aspect, like not prepper per se, not prepper proper, but along those rounds of kind of having a decentralized communication alternative if need be. And that's kind of how I got involved with it. And then once I discovered that I could build stuff, make antennas and have fun with that, that's kind of when it kind of took off for me.
Okay. Now you're part of the Moose Jaw Amateur Radio Club.
Yes, indeed. You bet.
How has that been?
It's been awesome. Like our guys here are really good. We have some really stalwart hams that have been hams forever and have kept the club going when it was, because I mean, I think most clubs kind of feel the same way. There's a little bit of drop off in membership, or the guys get old or whatever. But our guys kept it going for many, many, many years, and there's been a kind of a resurgence of. I always say young, but by young I mean in the neighborhood of like 40 years old ish in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And we've had quite a few younger guys to take interest in it, and it's really helped to build up our club here locally. And just started to get involved and come out. They had an active club. They have weekly breakfast that they go to and a monthly meeting, and then of course field day and events and stuff like that. So there's always something going on. And I got involved, and I became the secretary of the club, and then we kind of wanted to update the website, so I kind of grabbed the helm on that and did the website and got it kind of refreshed, anyways. And I kind of designed it for with new hams in mind, kind of getting people involved in ham radio that may or may not have had any kind of previous experience with it whatsoever. That's how I approached it myself. So that's kind of how I thought I would kind of gear the content towards.
Well, we have some interesting comments in the chat already. Hello, everyone, from Rob, KB6GFL. By the way, my 49-1 is in a lunch meat plastic container. My dad made it that way since it was going to be on the inside of the house, second story shack. So great story. And then your neighbor, Jody, wants to know the hard-hitting questions already. Have you tried to willet the antenna Mac the Moose yet?
That is definitely on the horizon. I really wish they would make that site a POTA park. That'd be ideal. That'd be absolutely golden if they would do that.
Wouldn't it be? Yeah, indeed.
It sounds like there's a story behind this place.
Well, we have our town thing is a gigantic moose called Mac the Moose.
Okay.
And he kind of looks like a paper mache horse. It's not that good, but we got into a fight a couple years ago with the Norwegians because they built this beautiful, unbelievable Terminator style moose, like unbelievable. And so and they built it just a little bit bigger than ours. So then the fight was on. We had to beat the Norwegians, and so we put a bigger rack on Mac, and so he's now I think a foot taller than the Norwegians moose. And they had a theme song, and it was really hilarious. But anyway,
Hey Tim,
that's the story behind Mac the Moose. There he is.
Mac the Moose 2018.
Yeah. So Canada has this interesting thing, and I've done the coast to coast drive, damn near the coast to coast drive 3 times now, and every time you drive through a town that's on the Trans-Canada Highway, as Moose Jaw is, there's a big statue of something. One place there's a great big a Pisanki, a decorated egg. That would be typical of the Ukraine and other places. Outside of Winnipeg, there is a large statue of Winnie the Pooh. Outside of Sudbury, Ontario, there is the Sudbury nickel, because that's where most of the nickel is mined that's in our coins. And so you can measure your progress by these wonderful roadside attractions.
Interesting. Sounds like I need to come up there and make a road trip.
Yeah, indeed.
No. Admittedly, the only place I've been in Canada is Vancouver and Victoria. When I was in the Navy, we pulled in there once to Vancouver and once to Victoria while we were up that way.
Yeah,
you're missing out on the rest of the country there.
Yeah,
Montreal, Toronto, towns.
So I mean, I live as close to Canada as it is to get to Detroit. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal to if I can get to Detroit, I can get to Ottawa. It's Ottawa, right? That's right across the river.
Windsor.
Right, Windsor.
Yeah.
And Ottawa's just right there, isn't it?
Ottawa is about 9 hours away by car.
For you or for me?
For you.
Yeah, for you probably.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on like the eastern side of Ontario.
Yeah, it sure is. North of Montreal. So yeah, there's a whole lot of geography here, just like there is in your beautiful country, which I've just returned from thanks to Hamvention.
I virtualized once in zeros. Geography was not my my strong suit.
All right.
But right on. Now speaking of the Moose Jaw Club, I was doing some research. Is it is it like the oldest amateur radio club in Canada?
Well, that I was unsure of. I think on our website we advertise it as the oldest in Saskatchewan, like our province.
Okay.
And I think but the guys in the neighboring club are contesting that claim, and they said that, well, no, their club was actually earlier, but we're the longest running one, so we beat them that way. So we're
There
going
we
to
go.
hold on to our title until we have affirmative proof otherwise. So
I'll allow it. I like that. Yeah.
yeah. And I think there was something else with our call sign. There was something with our local radio station that the hams here got our AM radio station on the air with, and that one might be the very first one in Canada that was issued. I'd have to double check on that, but I think it's something like that.
When you say, do you mean like a commercial AM radio station?
Yeah, like
Or-
the original hams that were part of our club way back in the day started it, I believe, and then it became a commercial radio station, I believe.
Oh, interesting. So what you had mentioned that you started making antennas and stuff like that. Do you have any particular type of antenna that you prefer, or you like to kind of dabble around with different ones? Or
Yeah, like, so basically I really like POTA. That was really what got me hooked on the hobby. Was
Okay.
the portable operating and getting out there and just being in nature and doing that kind of stuff. I really, really, really enjoyed that. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be doing this, then I need to have something that's at least, portable for POTA, or something that's a little bit more manageable. So I kind of got into building like end-fed half waves, and because they were just simple and easy to throw up and get rolling type of a thing. And then with YouTube, like all the awesome Elmer hams that we've got, especially like Salty Walt, I watched all of his videos, and then I'd go and build every single antenna that he made. I gotta build these antennas to see how he does this, and I just kind of followed in the footsteps of those guys. And and then I just started realizing that, oh, you know what, I could actually do this. I'm not really a very technical person, but that it's fun. And it kind of got me going down that path and building stuff. And then with our club got into a couple of our guys decided it would be really great if we could get some bandpass filters and a triplexer to have more stations operating on field day. And we thought that's kind of cool. So we started getting our feet wet with that, and we learned a lot doing with that. So we ordered the stuff from VA6 AM Pavel stuff there for the triplexer and bandpass filters, and then we ended up just buying another set of the low band ones. And so hopefully we'll be able to have some more nighttime activation coming up for field day. So we're excited about that.
I feel like, and I'm looking right now, I feel like you had a bunch of photos where you guys were building as part of a club meeting. You were building these bandpass filters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I just kind of chronicled the build, as it were, just so we had some kind of promotional photos for our club's Facebook site, and to kind of post and whatnot for promotional ideas, but to kind of show other people what we were up to, what we're doing. And then also just for the memory book. But yeah, it was kind of a neat thing. And then I would share some of them on X, and just as people seem to like seeing build projects and building stuff. So I just decided that's what I would do, and throw a few up on my own account there. And yeah, it's been fun.
How did, as far as a club project, how is antenna building or these kind of kit projects, how is that being received within the club?
Yeah, it's been well received. We got a bunch of guys that are a few guys have got their advanced ticket, their stuff for building stuff, so they're quite interested in electronics, especially in the flying club too. So they have kind of like a background and interest in it. So they were kind of the push for that, and then the rest of us kind of tagged along and learned quite a bit. So that was been a really good thing. And I decided that, like, Tuesday nights was going to be our build night, and we would go over to one guy's garage and kind of a winter project until we got our feet wet. The first ones took us months and months and months to figure out and do right. And then the last bit here didn't take us too long at all after we knew what we were doing. But so that's kind of how it's been. And it's just kind of a community project. And, one guy soldered on the capacitors and one guy tuned the thing. And it was really, really good. Nice kind of a community event.
So instead of book club, it's antenna building club, where you go over and hang out in somebody's garage and
Yeah, exactly.
have,
Yeah,
have an
exactly.
adult beverage or two and play with the soldering iron.
Yeah, exactly. Trying not to burn the place down. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun and yeah, really, like I said, really well received by everybody. Very much a community project for sure.
So I just saw this here in this one. Let's see if I can share this without.
Breaking everything.
Yeah, exactly. I think I can do Windows. Yes.
Rex was able to do it, so you should be able to. There you go.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
we
yeah.
go. Now that kind of, talk to us about this one. This is kind of interesting.
Well, I wish I could say this was my project, but this is totally not my project. One of our club members, VE5REV, he's also licensed in the States too, but he built this loop, a magnetic loop, and then he programmed it to run with an Arduino and a stepper motor, so he can remotely tune this thing. It's unbelievable.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he built it. It's his brainchild. I think he was following a guide that he perhaps found online, or what he was a snowbird, so he spent a lot of time in Arizona, and I think he was very, very well connected with the clubs there, and most likely I think that's where he got this build or this design from. But yeah, that's one of his brainchilds, that one.
That is cool. So stepper motor to I'm assuming it's sampling the standing wave and then adjusting the variable capacitor to
Exactly.
adjust the standing wave.
Yeah, and then it's a vacuum capacitor that he's got on that thing, and it just, with that little motor that he's got, it's a very fine adjustment, and it's all it's all like a I think he's just running it with like an Ethernet cable or something like that to control it with a little controller, and yeah, it's slick.
And
Is
it
that
looks
for
like,
10?
yeah, I was just going to ask, is that for 40 and 80 or?
That I'm not sure. I think he can do 40 with that. I invited him to come on, but he couldn't come on tonight for the stream. But I believe it's I think it'll do 40, that one, I think.
It's a
40,
super,
will it do 40 through 10?
That's my thinking, yeah, because he would
Undoubtedly.
often talk to his friends in Arizona on 20 meters with it, just from on the ground.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's pretty hard to build one for just 40 meters. You mean you need like a very narrow range of capacitance, and those vacuum variables can be reasonably broad. It's a really slick build.
Nice.
yeah, and it's hilarious. It's copper pipe, but he painted it so that people wouldn't steal the copper.
Oh, wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Although it looks like there's a lot of copper there in the vacuum tube.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, interesting. Is it?
Yeah, there's a shot of the little Ethernet control box for it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's well done.
Yeah.
And what do we call this, Vince?
That's a mag loop antenna.
Oh,
What do
I
we
know
call
that.
this? We call this a really pretty build, is what we call it.
Yeah.
It's a moose loop.
Ham.
That's
Ham smarter.
Yeah, we call that a ham smarter for sure.
Okay.
no, that's hamming smarter while hamming harder.
Yeah, there's that too.
And then he
And it looks like-
he wired it with that mouse. The mouse is actually the way he controls it with that little with the buttons. So then one is for quick and one is for slow or fine adjustments, and it's pretty neat to see.
That's really well thought out.
Nice.
That is cool.
Yeah, he just had this in his shop the one night when we were doing our builds. So I just took pictures of it, threw them up on X.
So are those the Arduinos or whatever that we see there? Is that what those are? Now, were those copper and they were spray painted too, so they wouldn't be stolen, or are they?
Yeah, all copper.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. No, because he had 3D printed the cases for it. But yeah, there's an
Yeah.
Arduino, and I'm not exactly sure what all else was in there. I just kind of took some quick shots of it. But
Yeah.
I know that the brain of it all was that Arduino that he had.
This looks like a single pole double throw switch. That I can tell you, or maybe it's a single pole single throw switch. That's all I'm good for.
Yeah, I wish you could come on. He could have talked to you about this more.
Yeah. Well, that's an awesome idea concept for an antenna for a home or apartment install where you're really limited, maybe HOA or something like that. Having the ability to remote tune the mag loop, being able to tuck that thing away in an attic or just have it in a living room or something like that. Obviously, it's a compromise when you deploy it like that, but I've had great luck doing operations inside and out with the Alex loop that I have. But that's, you got to manually tune that anytime you sneeze. So like it can get to be a little frustrating depending on how you're operating. But that's an awesome project. That's way over my head. But I see a lot of value in that.
It's still a lot of fun, obviously.
Yeah. And it shows others that it can be done too. It's probably a lot of work and thought that goes into it, but that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jason, what are you working on next, man?
So we with the purchase of the low band triplexer and filters for 160, 80, we already had the 40. We're building a 160 meter antenna. So I built I called it the Mark I version of the transformer, and we're gonna see how it performs. We were able to scrounge 260 feet of wire, so we're going to start that process and hopefully get it ready for field day.
Cool.
Is this the transformer?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so it's a Type 61 core. It's an 81 to 1 winding pattern, and it's got I think I put a 120 cap in it, a 120 picofarad cap. So we'll see. In my experimentation, I've noticed that when I do this kind of stuff, they kind of tend to become monoband. The harmonics don't cooperate. Like 49 to 1, I found was like the sweet spot for having like harmonics, without doing like compensation coils and stuff like that, which you can do. But yeah, so we'll see how this one behaves. We might have to pull some wraps out of it. We'll see.
And it looks like you're printing your own enclosures, at least for the prototyping phase.
Yeah, so this enclosure, actually, the same guy, Garvin, who made that mag loop antenna, he 3D printed these cases for us. And this is actually, we built a bunch of chokes for our club as well. So these little boxes that he made were originally designed for our club chokes that we built.
Right.
And yeah, and I just scooped one of those to make this.
Cool. I did not know 81 to 1 was a thing, but I guess it stands to reason.
Well, what I discovered with this was that I built a 40 meter one for like as an NVIS deployment thing, and I noticed that the closer that it was to the ground, like the earth, like physical Earth, the worse the SWR would turn out on 40 meters. But with a 49 to 1. But if I cranked it up and did like a 56 to 1, it got a little bit better. And I said, oh, well, what if I tried an 81 to 1 pattern? And then I did that, and it really cooperated. So my theory, and I could be wrong with this, is that the closer the thing is to the physical ground, the more inductance is helpful to overcome the capacitance. And I don't know if that's true. That's just my theory. But it seemed to behave better for the SWR reading with the 40 meter end fed.
Yeah, right on. Where did you find plans for an 81 to 1? I mean, there's 49 to 1 plans out there, and they're easy enough to find. But where'd you find that?
To tell you the truth, I think I'm not sure. I would give credit. I know I was following a lot of stuff like when Colin MM0OPX, I think.
Yep, that's right.
From Scotland, he had a pile of work done on these different cores and patterns and stuff for the inductance. So I might have come from him, or or maybe another online source. I exactly can't quite remember. I just started cranking them up, and I made a multi-tap version of one to try too. So I think I just kept wrapping it with wire wraps, and it just was what it was in the end.
Yeah, I've got one of Colin's 64 to ones. That's a reminder to me. I got it over the winter, and I got to get it out and deployed now that the weather is better, and I'm not just doing activations in my truck.
Yeah, and I found that those, like I said, those extra little induction bumps, they tend to cooperate nicer. Like I run like my 20-meter end-fed half-wave straight up a DX Commander pole, and just from the ground, and I found like my 56 to 1 ratio was just dynamite. Like it really performed well, and so yeah, 64 is good as well. But again, if you wanted to try to do the harmonics, it's a bit more of a pain to do with those extra things. It's better off just to go 49 to 1 in my experience.
You know it's serious when you see square bit. I
Robertson.
think that's right. Square bit.
Robertson.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that same guy, Garvin, who printed these, he used to also build cabinets. He did auto body and cabinets and a bunch of different things, and he had a great big... The price was right on a lot of these things because he had them all in stock, so that's what we ended up using.
So this is the only reference I have to the 81 to 1, but so that's 2 primaries and 18 secondaries with a 9 to 1 turn ratio.
I think it sounds about right.
Interesting.
This came from the soda reflector of all places.
Going in the
I'll drop it in the
opposite
chat.
direction, I saw Tom, Tango Oscar Mike, in the chat. And I know he's done a couple videos on his channel with a 36 to 1 that him and his club have done before too. So that's going the complete opposite direction of when we start getting to 64s and 81s. But I know he said that, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Tom, but I think he found that worked really well when you're going to like 80 meters or so for what he had. But
Yeah, right on. Well, that's neat to be able to play with these different things. That's not it's not something I've ever been a whole bunch interested in. I think winding toroids, it's a job I'm willing to pay for. They frustrate the heck out of me to do.
If you do one, it's not bad, but if you have to do a whole bunch, it's not fun.
Vince, all I gotta say is have Chuck wind your toroids.
I'm happy to have anybody wind my toroids. I hate.
Well, I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is a Chuck wound toroid.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
And that solder job works great too. That's my job, but yeah, but no, have Chuck wind your toroids.
Yeah, all right. Or maybe I'll have Jason wind my toroids, and that way I don't have to deal with international freight charges.
Yeah,
There you
there
go,
is
yeah.
that too.
Beat
Yeah.
the man, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
indeed.
Chris asked a good question here. So keep the squares going 100 to 1.
I actually saw somebody had done that, and it might have been like the Soda Forum or something, and it's like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, it's easier to overwind it and then just crank them back if you have to after the fact than it is to solder on and rewind more on. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy that.
Rob suggests that to not have Frank solder them. Rob,
I
think Frank's solderoid days might be behind him. I think.
I was just responding to that. Yeah, they might be just a smidge behind me. Let me see. I'm not going to bring up the OG solderoids. I won't do that to y'all, Jason. We'll have to send that to you later. But oh, jeez, this is far out. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Share screen. Entire screen. Share that one. No audio. There we go. That once Tim
warning:
brings it up,
the following image may contain.
That is my latest soldering job. It's a 4-to-1 Ballon that I had to fix on my 2-meter 13-element Yagi. I had to replace the whole box, so I just redid the whole thing, and that's my latest, literally the last soldering job I did like 3 days ago.
Doesn't look bad.
That doesn't look too bad at all. A little bit, just a wee bit too much heat. You can tell that by the melted dielectric.
Yeah.
Um,
A
and
little long.
and I would have taken the braid and moved it out of the way so that it just makes me feel better when I do that. But
Well, that one
I'll tell
going.
you here. So that's my critical comments. But here's my positive comments. You can tell by the look of the coloring on the solder that the solder flowed very nicely, and you got a good use of flux in there, and it probably took in the first try too.
It did, but see, the magic behind it. The magic behind it is all thanks to Jody. He sent me this Kester
Tester,
leaded
yeah,
soldered.
yeah.
So, yeah, that
Yeah,
is.
unleaded solder is horrible.
Oh, I do not have any unleaded solder. It's just I have old solder that I. The Radio Shack stuff was 10 plus years old. So, yeah, it was a little old. That braid going across the corner of the screen fence, that's the ground. That's the shield going to a ground lug going to another part of the antenna.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No,
I was trying to angle to get in there with the camera.
I'm referencing the braid that's within a 1/4 inch of that connector that's directly above the solder point.
Oh, right, along the dielectric. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of the shield, and it got pushed further back once things were done.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
that's all
Beautiful.
good.
No, it's a great job, Frank. Frank, I'm so proud of you. You've come a long way from solderoids, and I mean that very sincerely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what Jody sent me.
Good solder is all where it's at. You bet. So, Jason, we're going to ask the hard-hitting questions now. Is it a butane or a battery-powered iron?
For my setup,
Yes.
mine probably neither. It's it's like this real cheap electric one.
All right. Cheap electric is good. Is it single core or multi-core solder?
I use whatever I have on hand.
Okay, good answer. That's fine. I'm going to keep going here. Is it 60? Is it 6337 or is it 6040?
I don't know. I bought it at a ham fest from a guy for a cheap price. So
Okay, good. So look, thank you for playing along
He
with
is a
me
true
here.
ham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you for playing along with me. And
Thrift badge.
3 out of
And
3.
I'm going to say straight up that now you've heard from a guy who's done some great work, and so many people get so fussed out about the solder they use. Yes, there is a time and place for that, but for the majority of the time, doesn't matter. As long as it's got a little bit of flux in it, and in my world, a little bit of lead in it, and you've got a good fan to take the fumes away, you're going to do just fine. So don't sweat it.
Yeah.
So
Just get out there and have
is-
fun.
Go ahead. No? Okay.
Good
So-
enough is good enough, I think is what you're saying, Vince.
Yeah, good
Vince-
enough is good enough.
Or
Vince, this
$20 is
is,
$20.
Well, yeah, and I think we all know as hams that we are, no matter what we're making, what we're installing, what we're trying out, like within a month, if not a year, we're gonna think of a way to do it better, do it different. So it's
Yeah.
it's not worth it to put too much thought into it to the point where you're getting the indecision paralysis and just totally
So-
overthinking things. Like
Yeah.
we have that tendency, and we know damn well that we're going to find a way to do it better down the road.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
So our hobby, and I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, our hobby is an engineering hobby, right? And a whole part of engineering is constant process improvement and looking for ways to do it better. So start off with it. Start with a hypothesis. What do you think it's going to do, and build a test around that, and go build something, and evaluate that, and decide from there. Can I make improvements? Can I do better? Can it be better? And go from there. I think we do get wrapped up in trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Or the guy next door, and they're out making 100 contacts doing POTA, and so you don't go out there and you don't make 100 contacts your first time, and then you get upset and you get frustrated. And a lot of times, what happens is people they throw money at it. That's like Jeff, he throws money at it. And no, I'm kidding. You okay?
No, I just want to say, like, it's kind of funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
But people do. I did have an instance where I did see someone upset that they didn't make a lot of contacts. And then he was doing CW. He made like 64 contacts, and I forget the time. But a lot of people, when they start out, they think that, yeah, I'm going to get 100 contacts today. It's like, you never know what you're going to get. But do you have the time to sit out there for 100 contacts, 200 contacts? Do you have your whole day clear of any kind of responsibilities to do? A lot of people do have that. Some people don't. So some people shouldn't. Well, I don't know about throwing money. You can throw money at anything. It's not going to get you more contacts or whatever. But
what I mean by
contacts and time, it's a time thing.
Right. What I mean by throwing money at it is that we're so used to, if you go out and buy the best bat or the best golf clubs or the best whatever, and that's translated into amateur radio. If I go out and I buy this expensive radio, I'm going to make all these contacts, or I'm going to be able to do whatever your objective is. And that's not always the case. I mean,
I would say it's never the case. You can't, I cannot go out to the golf pro shop near me, spend $5,000 on a set of golf clubs and play like Jack Nicholson or Tiger Woods or whoever. It's not going to work. And I would say that the more money you throw at it, it's never going to help you. It's a skill, time, practice, and yeah.
The only
I
time
firmly
throwing
agree.
money works. The only time throwing money works at something is when you have someone else do it for you and you're paying them.
Yes.
Right.
You can have the experts do it all for you.
So I go back to, especially when you're operating portable, good enough is good enough. Get out there, have fun.
Yeah.
Get what you need. Get a workable standing wave, and go from there. Maybe your antenna isn't radiating the way you think it should. There's great programs out there now that have the maps included. That's been a great tool to be able to see kind of a ballpark of where you're radiating, at least in what direction, and somewhat how far from you based on grid square, and kind of use that as a guiding principle. Evaluate that process and go back. But I know there's people, and I've seen them in the POTA Facebook group where they'll get twisted up because they spent 3 hours, 4 hours getting their stuff set up, and then they only made a handful of contacts. And I would rather spend that time on the air enjoying my hobby instead of trying to squeeze a bunch of performance out of a temporary setup. I'll do that here at home. I'll squeeze every bit of performance I can out of the antenna setup, but I'm not going to waste my time going out. I'm going to go have fun and do it. And that's the thing that I hope people do take away when they're doing these things and enjoying the hobby.
Well, Jason, I got a question for you. So you said you licensed 2 years ago, and we understand some of your motivations for that, which is great background. So knowing what you know now about the hobby 2 years in, if a new ham was to come up to you and say, I need one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
Do not count the dots and dits with Morse code. Do not do that.
All right. That's unexpected, but that works. All right.
No, I think that I think in our Canadian system, like the book is overwhelming. Like there's a lot of information, and that's what I found the trickiest thing was, like, man, I got to know a lot of stuff to write this exam, and I think that's kind of the big hurdle. And a lot of that didn't start making sense until I actually was licensed and playing with this stuff. Figuring, oh, okay, that's what this means. And yeah, I don't know. I think probably if you had a person like a ham, like an Elmer or somebody who on site who could mentor you, if you could find somebody like that, like if you're going to be like the Jedi Padawan thing, that would be very, very, very helpful for a guy to walk you through, especially if you're coming at this like the way I did with zero background. It would be very helpful to have, I think, that kind of a relationship.
Yeah, for sure, it would be. And so for our friends in the United States of America, in the Canadian system, your entry level ticket, we call it basic, and a basic ticket means you take a 100 question quiz and you pass it with 70 to 79% pass rate. If you pass that same exam at 80% and above, you get basic with honors, and that's loosely the equivalent of, or closely the equivalent of, technician in general class. And in that basic exam, it contains all of the regulatory questions. And 42% of that exam is regulatory, and about half of which is straight up study. And the other half of which amounts to a whole pile of technical questions. The final power level to the input stage of the DC amplifier is measured in PEP and is how many watts for a basic with honors. Those sorts of questions, right? Because unlike you guys, we don't get full power until we do our top ticket. And when we do our top ticket exam, it's 50 questions, like the extra, and that's where we get top ticket power and everything else. But there's no regulations in that exam, because we can write the exams in reverse order, but only get our call sign issued with the first, with the basic exam passing. So it's a different licensing system, and yeah, it can be overwhelming. The study guide is 125, 130 pages thick. At least it's not $1 million, so that's the good part.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my other struggle, was like I have a hard time just in principle memorizing reference information.
Yeah.
Because if I can look something up and I can reference something, but do I need to know that? Like, for what I mean, like that kind of thing. It would make more sense to me if it was just a bit more streamlined that way with that process. I think it'd be less daunting for people to getting involved with the hobby if it was like that.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Right on. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Dane has joined us now. Dane, the portable ham. Hey Dane, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
Hey.
You eating dinner?
Oh,
For those,
dude,
those
I'm not gonna lie.
Please don't.
I try my hardest to not grab things out of truck stops, but for something like the Chester's potato wedges specifically, they're just delicious. So I couldn't say no, and I'm kind of munchy at the moment. So
Dane, you always got to grab Chester's. They're good.
I can't do their chicken, man.
I've
It's
never heard
too
of
greasy.
Chester's.
Really?
Wow.
So at least this week we got Dane's
It's not
camera
grease, it's
set up.
essential oils.
We
Come on
got
now.
Dane set up this week that he doesn't look like he's driving the truck while he's on the live stream. So
Right.
last week his camera was
Oh,
mirrored
that
and
was
it looked
hilarious.
like- and it looked like he was driving.
So many people.
no
Are you
hands.
driving right now?
Yeah.
Dane, as I said last week, just go. Yeah, I'm driving. We're good. I'm driving. We're good.
We'll be all right. I'll keep
Look,
it on.
Ma, no hands.
I'll keep it going.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now if we could get Bill, Ham Radio Tectonics, to join us from
There
the
we go.
cockpit. That would be a
that
live
would be
streaming
something.
first.
That would be something for sure.
That's right. That would be a ham tubing experience like no
Oh,
other.
that it would be.
Oh, and I just got to say this. I'm not going to ham shame whoever it was, but I got this QSL card in the mail today. Can anyone see what's wrong with that?
Oh, hang
Can't
on a
see
second.
it
I
at
gotta
all.
embiggen you here.
Let's
Let me embiggen you, Frank.
Yeah.
Need my splaining glasses.
Can anyone see what's wrong with that?
No, because you're holding it too far down. On my screen.
Oh, on your screen.
You gotta remember,
know.
I'm using a phone. I'm not being super.
Yeah, that's
Is
true.
your call sign wrong, Frank?
Yeah.
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 Oh, okay.
I'm not Kilo Lima whiskey. I'm November Lima whiskey.
Was it
Now,
right
hopefully
on
you
the
got the-
card? Was it right on the card though?
You know, let me open it. I don't know. This literally came in today's mail. I haven't opened it
Folks,
yet.
We got an
will find out
unboxing
now
live.
if the contact is
Yeah,
good.
unboxing
hang on,
live.
hang on. Let me
Oh, shit.
re-embiggen you.
Oh,
There we go.
boy.
Now,
Okay.
now, is there any money or anything gonna pop out of there?
Where's the glitter?
Glitter
Make
bomb.
sure. All right,
Or
we're
white
good.
powder.
We're good on addresses. That's the front side.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I
now
know
you just
And-
knocked something there.
And
Okay.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's-
it's good.
Honest
Okay.
mistake.
The envelope doesn't matter. That's just
Yeah.
to get it to you.
As long as
Yeah.
the address is correct, and believe it or not, it is. So
He could
you
put W1AW there for your call sign on the outside. It just wouldn't have mattered.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, you say I just talk to myself. That's the thing. My address is everywhere. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. And if you know how to do it right, anybody that has a PO box, you can find out their actual address. So it really doesn't matter.
The important thing is for everyone in the audience watching right now, or Team Replay, when you send Frank a QSL card or anything in the mail, make
Yes.
sure you put his call sign wrong on the
Yes.
envelope and the package.
Yeah.
Pick any other call sign, change any
Yeah.
letter, change any number. Just make sure it's wrong.
Now, Jody. Yeah, but okay. You already sent me something, Jody. So you had your chance. So you'll have. How about this, Jody? Send me a box, or a small box, but send me a box of all dressed chips and just put POTUS on it. Just POTUS and my address.
POTUS.
Yeah,
Okay. All dressed, huh?
yeah.
You can
all
actually
dressed.
get those at Jersey Mike's. They've got them at Jersey Mike's right now, which is
Yeah.
I had them. I was kind of an interesting thing.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the-
I've
the-
seen a lot more of the ketchup and the all dressed and that stuff now.
That's the thing, though. The American version is not the same as the Canadian version.
Okay.
Totally
listen.
different taste.
Okay.
Totally
So-
different taste.
So for all of those people who really want to satisfy Frank's urge to get some Canadian chips, and I'm going to speak for myself. It's going to cost me 45 Canadian dollars to ship him a bag of chips. So
Right.
I love you, Frank, but not that much.
Oh yeah,
um,
no, I get it.
So you can actually go on Amazon.com and find the Canadian chips and
Mhm.
ship them, because that's what I did to Izzo. Is I shipped him a bag of each. And then I had to wait 6.5 months for him to actually try them on the live stream.
Yeah, no,
So,
I've
It's totally
had.
worth it.
Did he like them?
I have a buddy who comes out of the north once in a while, and he comes down from Vancouver, and he'll bring me. I actually just the other day finished my last bag of all dressed. He'll bring me like a box of like 12 of them.
Uh-huh.
You know, he just buys them there and just brings them down with him, and when we meet up, he goes, "Here you go, Frank," and I never know what I'm going to get next.
And is it the big bags or the little bags?
It's
Asking
the
the
snack
important
size,
question.
the
The snack
little
size
ones.
bags. Yeah. All right. That's good. That's good. Right on. Jason, are there a lot of POTA entities around Moose Jaw?
Not really. Like, we have one which is actually really tough to do. It's a historic site. It's the historic courthouse, but it's right downtown, and it's not really a convenient location. So we did it as a club. I activated it just on VHF and caught 11 contacts and called it a day. But
That's the way to
we
do it.
We do have the Great Canadian Trail, like the Great Trail.
Yeah.
That entity comes through town, so we do have a chunk of that here too, so you can do that one. And then there is a provincial park only about 20 minutes away that you can go and do that one.
Oh, nice.
So there's a
Cool.
couple nearby that you can kind of run out to and whatnot.
Right on. The in the Canadian POTA system, the map coordinators will accept your suggestions to add parks into the system. Unlike in the U.S. system, where the U.S. system is really quite full, and they shy away from that. They still do it,
No.
but just not nearly as often. But I had one local to me added because it was a provincial historical site, and
Oh,
it
okay.
somehow got overlooked when the parks were created in the POTA system. So
So,
I'm
Vince,
trying to get a park added as you mentioned this, Vince, and I think you'll appreciate this because of all things, it's you'd recognize it from the T-shirt I wore when we got together.
Yeah.
There's a 1812 battlefield in Sackett's Harbor, New York, and I wore the shirt when we got together in Niagara Falls, Topota, for 1812 Brewing Company, and like they, I love their beer and it's a great restaurant and whatnot, but the battlefield's always there. And so every time I go up there and go into Sackett's and eat and get some drinks there, I always walk the battlefield and it's neat. And it qualifies. The mapping coordinator is in my club and it's just a matter of trying to get it through. But hopefully they do. I'd love to be the first to activate it. And I've thought about doing one of those things where, maybe go up there and just make, a dozen FT8 contacts without calling CQ POTA and just wait till it gets added and then all of a sudden sneak it in there. But I feel shady doing that. So and I know that would piss somebody off who thought that they were the first.
Yeah.
So Mike, here's the thing. Who else has been there getting POTA, or not even POTA, just getting contacts? Who else has been there getting contacts prior to now? Because that can go all the way back, 1982 called and you upload your logs, you're now the Atno.
Yep. So looking at the Moose Jaw Courthouse, the National Historic Site, we know 2 of the 3 activators. Now that's small. There's been 3 activations.
Yeah,
of
Mr.
that
Mud.
site. Yeah.
It was kind of a sore spot with us that we dragged our feet too long as a club. We were going to activate this as a club, but we dragged our feet too long. And then Wes, I've never met Wes in person, but he snuck in and activated our hometown park before we did. So we kind of curse his name now behind the scenes.
Is he Norwegian?
Jason,
is he a Norwegian?
Yeah, he might be a Norwegian. I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
go ahead.
Okay, so Wes is absolutely wonderful guy, but yes, he is sneaky like that. He sees an Atno, he is going to get that Atno before anyone else does.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sneakier than you, Vince. Sneakier than you. They're in the back channels. There are Atnos that he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this Atno, and he's up there the day it gets put into the POTA system.
Well, there was kind of a bit of a dispute about this location because if you follow the POTA rules, right, all your stuff has got to be on the property, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you're on the sidewalk, are you technically on the property of this thing? Because otherwise you got to be right up on the lawn. And I don't know if anybody actually did that or if they just sat in their car outside and did it from their vehicle or what. I don't know.
Yeah, you and all. So I had a conversation with one of our map coordinators here in the West about this, and he explained the rule to me this way. In the Canadian system, first off, national parks do not overlap, unlike in the American system. And so if I find myself on the boundary of Banff National Park and Jasper National Park, which happens just outside of Lake Louise on the Trans-Canada, if I'm straddling the line because I'm parked right at the sign, I am fully in neither park. So the activation won't count. So imagine my surprise when I learned this, and then I backed up my truck 20 feet. I completed a contact with somebody. I said, hang on a minute, I'll be right back. And I pulled it forward 40 feet and made the contact again. And I said, I'm in a different park now. And it totally counted, right?
Vince was in
Now
a
imagine doing that at the late shift, right?
Yeah, a late shift. And that spot's not terribly safe to park at, so I didn't hang out there to make 10 or anything. I just made some and moved on. I did that activation purely mobile. So that's part of it, right?
I thought it was 100 foot though. You had to be within the the boundary of 100 foot. Or is that specifically?
That's a trail or a river.
That's a trail or a river. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, as Vince mentioned, the Canadian POTA rules are different than the U.S. POTA rules, which are different than the Mexican POTA rules. Each country has their own specific subset of rules within the POTA program.
Probably due to their national parks and state parks or provincial parks, whatever they have.
Yeah.
So they probably, like Vince said, the 2 national parks don't overlap.
Yeah.
None of them do. So. Yeah.
Well, it's not
Yeah, 'cause,
different
like-
rules for POTA, is it? It's just different rules for different
It's
guidelines. Policy. It's the
yeah,
parks. It's not the.
it's
not the
a
program,
parks.
right?
Yeah, Frank. Just to clarify, that's a park boundary and a National Parks Act ruling,
Right.
and it's not a POTA ruling. POTA just says you and all of your equipment must be within
park.
the boundary of the park, right? So Jody says Canadian POTA rules included mandatory use of ketchup chips.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there we go.
Disgusting.
I did not
Because
know
like
that.
I've never activated a multi-park place yet.
Okay.
So like I'm kind of saving that for like the dunes that are up in Indiana by me. I'd like to go hit that because if I remember correctly, that's a twofer. So that's going to be my
Threefer.
first time. Is it a threefer? Oh, so
You can do a
I'd like to.
threefer. It's a park inside of a park inside of a national park.
That's
Along
awesome.
a trail.
Yeah, so like I'd like to activate that with like a couple of buddies. If Greyman wants to come up, I'd
Yep.
like to get a couple guys together and have a day of it. Make it entertaining and fun. It's always
Exactly.
more fun to activate with friends.
Yes, it is.
Having fun doing ham radio? What?
Oh no, we're not allowed to do that.
It's
There's a
not fun.
video, but Carlos and myself and Alan, punk rock ham radio,
No fun was had.
no fun was had. We spent more time laughing and cutting up than we did actually making contacts on Winter Field Day. From the
That's what
Indiana
happens
Dune.
when multiple people get together.
Yes.
Holy moly! I mean, Jason, you weren't kidding. I'm looking at the map here, and wait a minute, I gotta get that map shared. The POTA map of your immediate area. Now, where did it go? I'll find it here. It'll take me a second. There it is. There's the map. And so, for those of you in need of a small lesson on geography here, Moose Jaw is in the middle of the screen. And there really isn't much around Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw is a naturally low-lying area that's prone to spring flooding, and it's on the Trans-Canada Highway. So it's a small town. It was a bus stop for me in 1980 when I took the Greyhound from Vancouver to Toronto. I guess I've done that cross-country trip 4 times. I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, there's nothing around save for the courthouse, man. It sounds like you just need to find yourself a little tiny table and park yourself right on the lawn of the courthouse to do your activation.
Yeah, well, we're definitely gonna do that. We're gonna pursue it, and I'm gonna sit. And when I do that, I'm gonna sit there all day and rack up like 400 contacts to be the undisputed king of that site. And,
Yeah.
and then I'll run FG8 for another hour after that. So
Yeah, totally.
just for
Now,
spite, just to beat Wes VE5
Now,
MUD.
There you go.
if you do that,
Bigger set of hole-
enter your stuff into the RAC Portable Operating Challenge. So this is an award that we get through the Radio Amateurs of Canada for operating portable, and there's multiples for battery operation, for being out in the field, for operating digital or CW versus phone, and it's a separate award. I went after it 1 month a few years ago, and I got first place in the final month of the year, and it was by 1 QSO that I got first place.
Oh, wow.
It
That's
was a
awesome.
whole lot of fun. Yeah, I did a ton of roving to get that. Grid squares count as multipliers, time zones count as multipliers, provinces count as multipliers.
So what you're saying is, if I was in Canada, I could really kick some butt because I literally travel for a living.
Yes.
do I? Well, you would need a Canadian license, but there's somebody
Okay.
there's somebody on the call that can help you out with that, because he's an examiner, and yeah, you could. And you can get points for connecting with Mike from Canmore. I can't remember Mike's call sign. Maybe Jody will type it in the chat. And
Because,
that's
we
a
definitely do
Canadian
some
joke.
insane we definitely cover some insane mileage on a
Yes.
weekly basis. So
Yeah, of course
me and
you
you
would.
had that conversation. So
What's your weekly mileage count?
right now with the run that I picked, we're doing 5,480 miles per week.
Ooh.
It's a lot of miles.
So,
Yep.
so Vince, I'm surprised that Moose Jaw was the bus stop when a much bigger town is right nearby.
Oh, well, this was the Greyhound. They stopped everywhere. It was the milk run.
Oh, okay. It was the milk. Got
Frank's
it.
not old
Okay.
enough to remember how greyhounds worked.
The
back in the day.
Well,
Tim,
and Greyhound no longer exists in Canada.
No.
Tim.
Shots
Oh,
fired.
I think it-
Shots
I don't
fired.
My-
think it exists here either.
Greyhounds don't exist here. I grew up as a rail and bus aficionado. My mom was a travel agent. I know Greyhound. Oh, and
Just
Tim,
saying.
don't feel too bad. Jason got Mr. Mudd's call wrong.
I did. I realized that as soon as I said it wrong.
So
But that's
That's okay.
that's how much I disrespect him for stealing my courthouse.
there you go. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
How Canadian of you.
Well,
Yeah.
what's his call sign? His call sign's like Lima Bravo 0 Mike Uniform Delta, right? He's a Lima
Sure.
Bravo.
Sure, Mike. Sure. Yeah.
Hey, Norwegian there, huh?
I
Yeah.
thought that's what we were saying.
Jason's coming in with his big Iraq, buddy.
That's it.
What's next, VK? We're gonna say he's from VK land.
Yeah. Actually, there is a VK5 MUD. Wes says, "Mud brother from another mother."
Nice.
Well, Tim, what was that one that was it me and you, or was it me and Sean? We got W5 ASS.
Yeah, whiskey.
Which
five,
he
actually-
Sierra, Sierra.
He actually sent me a QSO card, which I have that one proudly displayed right on my desk.
And there's a picture of a donkey on it, we hope. Hey, Jason, so do you do a whole lot on VHF, 50 meg and up, let's say, as Mike would say, leave no band behind?
Oh, well, hello there.
Yeah, we don't want to leave any band behind. No. Yeah, I think I made some contacts on 6 meters on FT8 one time ever. Like, it just seems like it's such a hit or miss band
Yeah.
where I am. So, and then you have to have flexibility. But it's open, go now type of a thing. So yeah, I don't have too many contacts. And then like locally, we just have our club repeater that we operate on and have nets and stuff weekly, and but that's about it.
Right
What's
on.
funny is right before the live stream, 6 meters was open in California, and that's a rarity.
Yeah, 6 meters was open a fair bit today. According to Ham Radio Rookie, he shot me a screen grab and he says, "Ooh, I wish I had a radio at the shop."
Mhm.
So
He sent me the same screen grab too, because we were talking about the mistype, well, not mistype, it was a outright mistake. And yeah, let's see here today. So right before the live stream, I was playing 6 meter FT8 because that's all I was getting, and I was being heard at a -9 in Ecuador.
Cool.
Nice.
nice.
Well, speaking of
right on.
speaking of Ben and speaking of 6 meters, when I went out to do POTA on May 25th for the 6 meter FM day, I brought one of the 2 antennas was his 6 meter Faraday. So I brought that out, and that was the vertical that we ran. Video drops tomorrow, by the way, but we had a lot of fun. That did great. That was fun using that antenna for the first time in the field.
Yeah, right
So
on.
how tall is that antenna?
Or
I guess how long is the element?
It's definitely longer. Like, I had a dipole set up, and I kind of like held it up, and it's going to go on further, but it's a J pole, so you're going to have like a quarter wavelength kind of matching stub, and then you're going to have a half wave, so it's probably like fully length 3/4 of a wave.
10 feet.
So that's 8.5 plus it's
This
probably
is
like
mathing
10,
on
12
screen
feet.
here.
I mentioned this in the video. I had it on the Soda Beams Tactical 7000, which is a 7 meter mast.
Mhm.
And so it came down, and the feed point was about 4 to 5 feet off the ground. Now, it wasn't at the tippy top. It was at, hanging from like the next section of the mast down. But so, it's still probably up, 19 feet, but it was coming down quite a bit. It's long. And then there's issues, I think he's pointed out, with the length of those antennas because of the velocity factor. It's different than wire. And but it still worked great, and it's fun.
Do we know if Ben ever found out the velocity factor? 'Cause I know he was
don't know.
searching long and hard for it, and he might have even enlisted the local university to help him out.
I think only if he taught a class were they going to do that.
Yeah, I almost suggested it, but it's kind of old fashioned. But if you go to the library, there's reference librarians at the school, at the university libraries, that they will find you the most obscure information.
Mhm.
I bet you could have posed the question to them and they would have gotten it. So, well, Jason, you have anything coming up? We got summer coming in. Any fun plans? Outdoor portable operations? Any soda or POTA camping? Weekend kind of fun things planned.
Yeah, I hope so. Our game plan currently was to do a bit of a West Coast trip out to British Columbia, out to the island. We'll see how that goes with planning and whatnot. But and if I do, yeah, I'll definitely be kind of stopping and doing some POTA parks for sure as we go along the way. And there's one the provincial park in Cypress Hills, Saskatchewan is my ultimate favorite place to operate because it's a extremely high elevation and you get really great contacts from that place. So maybe if I can get back there again, I won't say no and go and set up there and do some more operating. But probably the next thing on the horizon here will definitely be get that 160 meter antenna built for field day. And yeah, I don't know. I've never played with that before, so all I've been told is make an inverted L out of it. So I guess that's what we're going to try to do, and hopefully it cooperates and we can get on the air with it for summer field day.
So, Jason, you mentioned coming out west here, and I know Western Canada, not Western U.S. That's fine. Do you know Simon Hamjazz, or do you know of him?
I know of him. I've talked to him a couple times when he's doing his crazy stuff that he does. Yeah.
When you get out there, hit him up. I'm sure he'll be happy to have you and give you some fun antenna ideas.
Yeah, I've been watching what he's been doing with the Mylar stuff, and it looks like unbelievable. So I'll have to give that a whirl too.
Oh, absolutely. Because apparently Mylar doesn't work for anything for that. It's a negative gain, but it still somehow works great.
I don't know. He does so many cool experiments and whatnot. I just remember the one day that he was I think he was doing his like Ethernet cable ground plane or something. I don't know what he was doing, but it was absolutely blowing the doors off my antenna. And I think I got on he was doing a live stream, and I think I got on his live stream that day, and it was pretty wild. Just an unbelievable signal that he had.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the salt water helps.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Frank,
I never.
Sorry, I was going to say, Frank, drop a link to Simon's channel in the chat. If
I guess I can pull that up.
Come on, Frank.
One
job.
And Jody is absolutely right that Simon himself imparts 10 dB of extra energy. Simon's a very energetic activator. Yeah, you bet.
10 over.
10 over.
There we go. Link dropped.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you on, and where can I get some?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, really. Yeah, can you hook me up with your dealer?
Yeah. He's hooked on jazz.
That's he totally is, right? So
yeah, I got a funny story with Simon. His call sign BIX, right? The suffix in there is. When I heard he played saxophone and it was Bix, I sent him a message and I asked, I said, is that because of the famous jazz sax player Bix Beiderbecke? And he said yes. And I'm like, well, my little story is my middle son. We were looking for names, and we were sitting in what is now a restaurant in Bloomington, Indiana University, and Hoagie Carmichael went to school there and studied and everything. And at the time, this building was the bookstore. It's called the Book Nook, and he wrote Stardust and several other things. So there is tons of Hoagie Carmichael memorabilia in there. And we were just sitting here. There was a back of an album on the wall. Dane, you okay?
Yeah, you good there, bro?
There's a random truck just spraying, like it was a big tanker just spraying out of the side of it. I was just kind of like,
Looked like you
what's
jumped out of your
going
seat
on?
there.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
bump. That was a bridge. That's
Yeah,
that's
you-
our
you missed.
amazing highway systems in the United States. It's
Yeah.
they're phenomenal.
But
Right.
so we were looking at the names of these famous musicians and everything from the band, and one of them was Bix Beiderbecke, and we're like, Bix, we kind of like that name. Well, we went and did some research on him, and his actual name was Bismuth. And we're like, well, that might be a little too much, so we called our son Bixley. But so that's the kind of the link that Simon and I have, and but I never get to work. I've worked him, I think, one time on the air, because where I live in Indiana, where he is at, I'm just kind of, he's either I'm too short or goes over my head. So I can hear him sometimes, but he's so far in the gravy that I can't work. I've tried a few times, but.
And I will say this: if y'all ever hear Victor Kilo 3 Bravo India X-ray, guess what? That's Simon too. That's his Australian call sign. So he has both, and he has a remote down there at his sister's house in Australia. So he'll sometimes hop on that and call CQ from there.
See, that's my next step. I want to be able to go remote.
And Jason, tell us about your home station, man. What are you running? What's the setup?
Yeah, so I'm still, I consider myself primarily a portable operator, so I don't really have a super great QTH setup. My antenna, I've got a 71-foot random wire. My lot, where I live, my lot is plagued with like power lines and transformers and stuff, and it's a corner lot, so it's kind of a pain. But yeah, I got the 71-foot random wire antenna that I built. It's a combo, like a hybrid Balun, the 9-to-1 with a 1-to-1 inside. And then for my radio, I got my FT891 that I got, and I use that kind of as my main like 100-watt rig. And then I've got my ICOM IC705 that I've got for like digital stuff and some CW stuff, and you know, if conditions are good, you can actually install a microphone and use it. It's fun. You can do it. And then yeah, I just got a couple of smaller VHF stuff just for kicking up our repeater, and yeah, it's just the kind of like more of a portable focus for myself. But at the last Ham Fest we just had at our swap meet here in town, I actually bought a power supply. So now I have a power supply. Other than that, I was always using batteries. So
Oh wow.
I can now plug in.
Yeah, power supply is an awful lot lighter than a battery.
What
usually.
tuner are you using?
Sorry?
What tuner are you using?
Oh yeah. I've got what is it? It's the it's the same one that Michael KB9 VBR has. The
one of the LDG Pro.
the
maybe
Pro 2
200 or something like that. 200.
Yeah, whatever one that
Pro
one
2
is.
or
Yeah,
something
I
like
picked that one up. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it does really
I know
well.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got that one. It'll do it'll do at least 10-to-1, I'm sure, for my random wire. So yeah.
Oh sure, yeah, probably more.
Yeah.
Good.
And I try to use when I'm out in the field, I try to use resonant antennas that I don't need a tuner for, especially if I'm using the ICOM 705 because it has no tuner. But yeah, I don't know. I find that it works pretty good. And then if I'm going to go out with power, if I want to really rack up contacts or whatever, I'll bring the whole setup. I'll bring the FT891 and the tuner and the big battery. Away you go.
Yeah, right on.
And so
That's
I guess we didn't talk about it. What license level do you have right now or currently?
Yes. So again, in the Canadian system, as Vince mentioned earlier, like I have basic with honors, which is probably what like pretty much general-ish.
Okay.
I think.
Yep.
Vince would know.
So then this gives you full access to all amateur bands in Canada. You're just are you limited on power then? Is that the
power and building stuff? I think you can't build a transmitter or
you can't scratch build a transmitter.
Yeah.
It is, but yeah, it's a power limit. But as soon as you get HF privileges, it's unrestricted within the edges of the bands, unlike the US system.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's great. Like I mean, like I said, other than running an amp with oodles of power, I mean, it's everything I want to do, or everything that I do now, anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you feel like you're missing anything by not having the extra power?
No, because I don't really care. Like I'm out there for fun. You know, like if I make DX contacts, that's awesome. But I just don't care. I just have fun building stuff and getting out there and playing POTA and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I've always just like simpler is better. Like I love QRP and so I just never really got into the big power stuff. Maybe I will one day. Definitely want to pursue the top ticket so I can sponsor repeaters and stuff like that. It'd be nice to get a couple more repeaters around and go with that. But yeah, so maybe some time down the line we'll get on that.
Ooh, question. That makes me think, because today's Wednesday, WinLink Wednesday. So with the Canadian license system, you're talking about sponsoring repeaters and stuff like that. Any prohibitions with things like WinLink gateways, APRS gateways, iGates, things like that? I'm not sure if I'm using the proper terms, but the license levels affect the ability to do things like that or not?
That I think Vince probably would know.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the rule is we cannot run unattended transmitters unless we're top ticket. So
Okay.
an iGate that's listen only, that's fair game.
Okay.
But if it's a repeater that is destined, if it's a radio that's destined for unattended operation or remote operation, you got to be top ticket.
Some
How does
iGates are
that,
like that, so
good. How would that, let's say an all-star node, for example?
An all-star node is a radio that you intend to walk away from that will continue to transmit. Therefore, it is unattended, even if it's in your house.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, so
if you
a
put it up,
milliwatt.
if you turn it up only while you're there and turn it down, you are a physically present control operator. Now, the real gray area here that tends to get ignored a lot are hotspots, digital mode hotspots. Because who turns off their hotspot when they're not sitting in their room? Nobody. They run all the time, right? So that falls under the rule of an unattended transmitter here in Canada.
Wow.
well, Vince, I must be the one in a million then.
And that's fine. That's good. So I'm glad there's one, but almost none of us do, right? That's the reality.
And then I guess, is it the same restriction there where you can't have an automated beacon or anything below 10 meters?
If it's unattended,
Yeah.
you can't run it.
No, I meant even with the top ticket.
Oh, with if it's top ticket, it's expected that you understand how to do remote control and have that ability, no matter
Okay.
what the item is. Yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
Jason, I was just thinking with your diving into the electronic side of antenna building and the RF side of that, any desire to scratch build a radio or get into more kit type, like building QRP radios, kits that are already designed and you're just doing the work?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely opened up my eyes doing those like the triplexers and the band pass filters projects. So I think I could see myself possibly getting interested in like a QRP kit of some kind, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit with all this stuff. There's so much out there, and yeah, it just becomes a matter of time and money.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we probably should go ahead and start to wrap it up. Jeff, you want to let us know what's going on, what you got going on the channel this week? And
yeah, I didn't have a video premiere this week. Things came up, things to do. Hopefully I'll have one next week. I'm working on one now. We'll see what happens with that. But moral of the story is, even if it's a bad day for space weather, you always go out and attempt to get on the air because you never know what's going to happen. There you go.
There you go. How about you, Frank?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. Simple and easy today.
Simple and easy. Jason, how about you? Anything, projects or any fun stuff coming up this week that you're people can
No,
find you
not on the
that
horizon
stuff?
for this week. Our weather's starting to finally cooperate again here, so yeah, I got to get out and get some more POTAs in. I got to get out and do some more antenna testing and whatnot. So that'll be on the docket pretty soon, I would imagine.
Awesome. How about you, Vince?
No, Tim.
Oh,
Sorry,
oh,
I do have one thing.
Yeah.
For everybody watching live or Tim replay or what, and yes, I did say Tim replay, not team replay. Anybody out there watching, if you haven't subscribed to the Ham Radio Kids table, I will continue my quest of solderoids and make them worse and worse each time and show them each time. So if you don't want that to happen, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button.
You might have just cursed us right there, buddy. People might be untaking their likes back because they want to see you.
We just lost 3 subscribers.
See, there we go. Gosh, man, we're a fledgling channel to begin with, right?
So should we just go with like, we will make sure that we promote all of the solderoids that happen, and we will make sure that this always gets put up.
Right? Yeah, we'll go with that, Dane. Just hit that subscribe button. That's the key takeaway there.
That's right. And actually, up there in one of those corners is a QR code for the Ham Radio Kids Table Discord.
Sorry, Jeff. It's my
we
turn.
We're trying to build a community of fun, happy people where
it's over that way.
Age does not matter, but this isn't your grandpa's ham radio, right? So, Vince, take it away. What you got coming up this week?
Hey, I've had a bunch of content released. I still have 60 videos to edit that I shot at Hamvention, and I somehow have to fit that in with my day job and my part-time job at the candy store. So I've released everything I'm going to release this week, and we'll see what happens next week. But there's more to come. The weather's turned really sunny here. I'm actually traveling to Medicine Hat this weekend. I'm there for a quick overnight, so I'm looking to activate some parks down there because I have never done that in that corner of the world. I've never had the time in the few business trips I've taken down there. So that's what I got coming up, man.
Awesome. How about you, Mike?
Well, tomorrow, so we were talking about videos. I plugged it earlier. I'll plug it one more time. My 6-meter FM POTA video drops tomorrow. It's part of Thursday Night Ham Radio, so check that out. I'm really excited. I had an absolute blast. And I'll just say this. We had 4 people show up to do this, a POTA on 6-meter FM. And one of the first calls that we got in the log was a park to park from a POTA 3 for across the county. And I was just like, and I've gotten what was just like a silly idea, like 52525 for 52525, the calling frequency. Like the amount of emails and like the reception, the videos I've done on that have gotten, I mean, it's great. Like it's all, I started my channel to kind of share my experiences, but try to encourage others, and to see that, when you get like that, one of your first contacts is a park to park on 6-meter FM. It's just like, that's awesome. That's cool because they're going out because of what we're doing. And I know people went out all across the country, all across, I'd be hesitant to say the world, but I know people are going out in Canada and all over. So like, I mean, that's great. That's, there's a lot to do in ham radio, and it's a fun hobby. Do what you like, do it how you like, but don't be afraid to try something different because you might learn. And along the way, I'm going out this weekend. I don't know when, but I am super excited because I have with me, for the first time back in this house in like a couple years, this is my first radio. This is the G90. I sold this to my buddy and bought his 705, but I'm excited to have it back because I want to do something special. I'm going to do like one of my first sponsored content videos coming up. with the new Radiodity antenna. It's still in the box. I haven't opened it up, but I'm going to go back to the first place I poted, the state forest. I'm going to hike in to the same spot I went with the same radio and play radio with it in the place that everything got started. Just, for fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I've activated that state forest many a time since. It's only a few miles away, but they've made some changes to the parking and everything else. So I've done it from the parking lot more recently rather than the hike in. So I'm looking forward to, with the weather and stuff, being able to hike in and do a POTA where everything kind of got started and take a look at that antenna and think, because there's a lot of coil antennas, a lot of these loaded verticals that are out there, multi-banded. It's great to have options, and I want to take a look at it from the perspective of a new ham. Is this something that I would have preferred to do a few years ago when I was getting started in the hobby or not? And is this a good fit for somebody who's new to the hobby? So I'm looking forward to that. So I think it'll be fun. And it's nice to have this radio back for a little bit. I've had my eyes on a G90 ever since I sold it. So it's a great tuner with a HF radio built in.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
The wet noodle.
Yes.
I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of G90 owners say that they kind of regret getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I went to a 705, and so it was like, okay, I was more interested in going into the all band, all mode. And it was like being able to do weak signal on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. That's the stuff that drew me to the 705, being able to do some really weird, quirky VHF stuff, something different. But at the end of the day, like I tell anybody the G90 is a great radio to start with, because you can invest in coax antennas and all the other stuff that matters more.
Yep.
So,
And Mike, if you didn't see it, Jim W6LG Ham Radio Elmer just did not a review, but I don't know what to call it, but a video on the G90.
I know what you're talking about. I saw parts of it. I haven't finished it, but
well, for those watching, go watch Jim W6LG's video on the G90. It spurred off of Josh's video while he's looking for a new speaker for his radio, and he happened to hear Jim on 20 meters talking to somebody with a G90.
Jim is awesome. We should drop a link to his channel in the feed.
I'm on it.
Jim has done such interesting things. Has done a video loading up 2 light bulbs and making an FD8 contact on it, and he shows you why there are some terrible coax out there too. He's a very, very interesting guy, very deep in his knowledge.
Jim saved a POTA operation I did one time. I was just dying to get 10 contacts, and the band conditions were terrible. And out of nowhere, here's Jim. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to activate a park." "Oh, okay." Thanks, Jim.
59CA. Yeah, exactly. Right on.
Speaking of trying to get contacts, Dane and I ran over to, I can't think of the name of the park, but it was literally 5 minutes away from Hamvention. I don't think it was there last year.
Worst activation ever. Worst
Holy
activation
cow.
ever.
That
sucked.
Oh my God, it was horrible. Solar storm, something was going on. The band conditions were just absolutely horrible. It wasn't noisy. It was just everything was dead. And so we had to revert to VHF, and we switched over to 14652. And people were heading out anyways. It was like 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. And we picked up a ton of people. We just worked them left and right. People heading out anyways. So there was a couple people that got their panties in a bunch that we were doing it on 5.2, but
they got taken care of by other people, which was even funnier.
We were given the appropriate amount of time in between to allow for anybody to interrupt if they needed to. So
Yeah, I think we did like 26 contacts in like 10 minutes, something like that. And there was three of us going, and there's 3 of us going at once. So like it was just a show to say the least. It was just a show, and it was rough. And like I said, there's somebody that mic'd up.
Well, then,
He was in use, but nobody
Yeah.
said anything back. So we started activating.
and so I'm sure we make sure to send all hate mail to knmrd@icloud.net. And also we there
It's
was another guy.
It's iCloud.com.
Well, either way, I've heard it spelled both ways.
Let's see here.
Can we just start posting that?
Let's
Send all
see,
hate mail and then just give them the address.
Great Council State Park.
Great.
Tim got 10 contacts there.
We activated
That
it
was-
twice.
Yeah, it was the day before.
This was on the 18th.
It must have been the 17th.
I'm just looking at.
Maybe I forgot to upload that log.
18th
Well, look
is
at mine.
Sunday.
Let's hear. Oh no, the 17th has 27 contacts for
That was
you.
close.
go.
So yeah, and then Alan got 17. Yeah, I don't see Dane in here
Well,
though.
Tim, while Frank's looking that up, and we're in our wrap-up round here, what do you got coming up on your channel, buddy?
Well, but more importantly, let's talk to Dane. Let's see what Dane's got.
Oh, pardon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought
That's
I
fine.
counted
That's
everybody
fine.
accurately.
Well, next up, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be going right back there, which is that's my bedroom. I'm going to bed directly after this. But
Nope. What you got coming on the channel? We don't know about what.
so
We don't want to know about that.
I'm getting there. So
All right, land your plane,
the
buddy.
next thing that I would like to do is talking about failure and failing while you're trying stuff, failing building your first antenna, failing trying to make your first contact, and how failing is a good thing, because I've learned more out of my failures than I have out of just immediately succeeding. And I want more people to be okay with a fail. Like, I have a failed POTA attempt because I don't know what it was. I was down by an RV park, and the atmospheric and also just the amount of stuff that was going on with all the RVs, it just blew me out to where I couldn't activate that park. And that's okay. Like, I had a conversation with somebody when we were at Hamvention about, I don't want a failed POTA attempt. I don't want. Why not? You still tried. Well, what's wrong with failing? Failing is an amazing learning tool to prosper and do more things with. So that I'd like to get a video out on that. I just got to get my thoughts together so I don't sound like I'm just rambling on like I do right now.
Okay, sound like you got a good thesis
Dane,
to start with.
Dane, here's a take for you on it. It's not a failure if you make one contact. It is just not a successful activation if you don't make 10 contacts. There's a difference. It's not a failure. A contact is a contact. It's not a
and I
successful
agree.
activation. There's a key point to think about there.
To that.
And then, like, I agree with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say to that point. Anytime that you can be outdoors and have fun and enjoy your hobby, that's a successful activation. Whether you make 10
Absolutely.
contacts in the log for POTA or not, that's irrelevant. If you're out enjoying your hobby, that's what really matters, and that is probably that's my takeaway from it.
Can I just share a quick failure story, which I think Frank and Dane will get a good kick out of? So the first antenna I built, when I got the G90, I bought a Wolf River Coils, the TIA one. But the first antenna I built was the KM4 ACK and fed half wave. And I didn't have a soldering iron. I never soldered before that I can remember. And an Elmer from the club came over, and he came over, and he because I messaged everyone, was like, hey, someone got an iron I can borrow or what? And he's like, I'll teach you how. He comes in the garage, we set up on the workbench, and he dumps like a bag full of electronic components and boards, and he's like, all right, these are for practice. And he goes, we're going to start with desoldering first. And I'm thinking, what the? why are we starting with like taking things apart? I just got to solder this antenna real quick. And we work quick on desoldering, and then he shows me soldering techniques, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave you, keep the iron, bring it to me at the club event in a couple weeks, and have fun. Good luck. And wouldn't you know, like, it was like he, being an Elmer, he knew the mistakes I was going to make before I even made them, because I found myself desoldering like a couple hours later because I was screwing things up and everything. And I was like, yep, nope. He knows I am new. I am new to this. I am going to make mistakes, and it is what it is. But with that radio, the G90 that I just showed off, and that antenna, my son and I, my son's got his drone, went out next day and made our first DX contacts to Spain. And I mean, it was just a phenomenal learning experience. And, it started right out of the gate with a failure. and someone who knew but politely didn't say you're gonna bork this, one way or another. So I'm gonna teach you how to unbork it. But yeah.
It sounds like a smart man to me.
Yes, he's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Very smart.
Yeah, there's another quote about that. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. Yep.
That's true.
So I will say this, Dane, this might help you as well. Jimmy KI5PRK in chat said, it's not a failed POTA. I call them DNAs, did not activate.
That's your
Absolutely.
opinion. That's your opinions.
As
I
long
have
as
a
you're out
different
there
opinion.
having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah, as long as you have
That's
fun.
all that matters.
And if
Yeah.
you don't make contact with every freaking DX entity out there, whoop-de-doo. As long as you
Who
make
cares?
some contacts, who cares? Yeah, exactly.
I learned a long time ago. Maybe this is the military side of me. 2 is 1, 1 is none. I always bring a couple transmitters. I always bring a couple things of coax. I always bring a couple antennas with me, and I also bring a couple modes, whether that's FT8 and voice. I don't do CW, not yet. So, but when sideband is not cutting through it, one of the digital modes will typically get you through. And I always come prepared to do that. And even antennas, we talked earlier about verticals versus wire antennas. I've got one of each. You never know. Vertical might just might make the difference when the wire antenna isn't. So you got to be prepared. There's no one size fits all to every situation. So following the old Boy Scout rule, be prepared, right?
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well, I had a video drop tonight. Corky QRP's, as I affectionately call it, big ass mat.
Yep.
The POTA mat that he has released. I think it's the Mammoth Field mat.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing was bigger than my picnic table that I was at. But
What?
yes, it
That's
is
awesome.
It's like 70 inches long and 24 inches tall. So it will cover most picnic tables that you'll find in parks and things like that. Because for me, the big thing is you never know what you're going to find on there. What kind of condition is it in, or if it's something where vandals have come in and marred up the surface or whatever. So it's great to be able to throw that over the top of it. It's a very large version of the existing, the regular sized POTA reference mat or portable reference mat that he has. So all the great information on there is as far as band plans and stuff. Which is
So,
kind
Tim, I have a question. Do you have a code for it?
Yeah, so there's I'd have to get it out of the video. But if you go to his website and do use Grayman POTA, GRAYMANPOTA, I believe that's 10% off $100 or more for general purchases.
I was going to say, if not, I could drop my link, and
Look at you trying
but
to make
there's
a
the
buck
general
there.
link to
Look at
his
you
Etsy
hustling,
shop.
hustling, Frank.
Wait,
You will actually see
wait,
the Matt
James
make an
is-
appearance in my video tomorrow, by the way. So,
So
spoiler alert.
wait, Tim.
I have it.
James is paying you?
Huh? What would James be paying me?
You said way to make a buck. You said James ain't
Frank
paying
just-
nobody.
Oh well.
And on that bombshell,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
No, James doesn't pay me anything.
Exit stage
Good
left. Exit stage left.
James is a great, valuable
There we
yes.
go.
resource to the community. He does help out
Oh,
and has a lot
absolutely.
of great things, and I do appreciate James is out there. So I do have the discount code, but other than that,
Yeah,
that's
I just dropped it with the link.
good stuff. So, all right, well, guys, let's wrap it up. It's an hour and 43 minutes. Cool thing, we 61 people across
So-
all of the socials medias right now are tuned in live, which is pretty good. So, whoop, whoop. Anybody that
So one big question for Jason, and it's been asked a couple times in
oh
chat.
yeah,
I've answered it with a link. Jason, other than Twitter, I'm sorry, I still call it Twitter. I don't care what everyone else calls it.
Twix.
It's still Twitter. Other than Twitter,
Prayers.
do you have any other links you want to promote?
Yeah, no, all I got is the Twix link. That's all I've got.
link.
There you go,
Frank,
guys.
can you get a link to the Moose Jaw Amateur Radio Club in there too?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can check out our club page too.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout it out. So, all right. With
Jason-
that being said,
Jason, it's been great having you here, man.
Yeah.
You do some interesting projects.
Absolutely.
I strongly encourage everybody who's watching this video, even if you're not a Zitter user or whatever you want to call it, go take a look at Jason's stuff there. He posts some great photos and some great builds.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I'll drop his link again just to make sure everybody gets it. His Twix link,
Twix.
as
Right.
you guys call
Twix.
it. It's still guys. I still use MySpace and LiveJournal for Pete's sake. It's Twitter.
Nice.
MySpace
right.
is still active. What?
Yeah.
What?
say what?
GeoCities.
Yeah.
Well, Tom is Frank's
Yeah.
only friend, so.
All right.
No,
on that note,
I have a few.
All right, guys. Good night. 73, everybody.
73.
Bye.
Vince is like out of here. Bye. MySpace for the brand.